David, David here. David Burley. Do we have anyone else who's wanting to give a guest presentation? I'm sorry, I don't have your name recorded. We did have David down from Woodsex against Bucky. Probably not here. Sorry. Thank you. So that's item A, which is not the public session. We don't have any other presentations from guest speakers. So B, to allow representation regarding planning applications within the civil parish to be considered later in the meeting. So, anyone have any comments, questions on planning applications? Okay. C, to allow one question per elector of the civil parish on a topic for which the parish council has responsibility or which affects the parish. Questions, ladies and gentlemen? Okay. We'll take the front row first, and then go on to the back row. Whoever wants to start, there's a microphone there. Wish to use as well. Who's going to start?
Is that turned on then? Excellent. Thank you, Chair. I understand that Councillor Stuart Thornton is acting as temporary administrative assistant to the Clerk of Anston Parish Council and Charity. This gives me great concerns as to the proper processes of the running of the Parish Council and the Charity. Can you please explain to me how this came to be the case and how long the situation is expected to remain, and is there a minute of the full Council appointing him to this role?
Mr Chairman.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Mrs. Dalton. Dalton, D-A-L.
Dalton.
Well, sorry, ladies and gentlemen, councillors were talking, so I only caught half of what you said, I'm afraid.
Wait to say it again.
So please, if you would, and members, could you please, just basically a question about temporary office work arrangements.
I understand that Councillor Stuart Thornton is acting as temporary administrative assistant to the Clerk of Anston Parish Council and Charity. This gives me grave concerns as to the proper processes of the running of the Parish Council and the Charity. Can you please explain to me how this came to be the case and how long the situation is expected to remain, and is there a minute of the full Council appointing him to this role?
Why should he call you from Sherman? You're not a resident.
Excuse me, through the chair.
Non-residents are allowed to
Clerk's writing to speak. While the clerk's writing to speak, I might as well answer that one as chair. Actually, I've replied in writing to the question by email. Several councillors have been helping out, so very pleased to say that Siobhan got a full-time job elsewhere in the borough. We're very pleased for her, but that means that obviously she resigned from Anston Parish Council because she's taken work elsewhere. We are in the process of appointing an assistant to the clerk. It will be a temporary post, which all being well should be advertised this week. That will be advertised online later on this week. The job description is now ready. We'll be using the title of assistant to the clerk, the senior administrator, and that member of staff will help Hannah, and will do a lot of the face-to-face and the contact that Siobhan used to be responsible for. In the meantime, several councillors and myself, Councillor Manship, Councillor Matthews, and Councillor Thornton, apologies to others who have been helping as well. So we have been helping in the office. Councillor Thornton has been doing some office work for the Parish Council. We've all been unpaid as part of those duties. We sought advice from YLCA, who basically told us that as long as the volunteer was unpaid, it's absolutely okay for a councillor to fill that role. It's a temporary role, and it was authorised. I don't have the minutes to hand, but it was authorised by the staffing committee. At the risk of...
Can I ask through the chair what the cause for concern is? It's just past being debtor as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, we can allow a supplementary question. So via the chair, Councillor Thornton, that's primarily what the concern is.
I'm not sure if I know where to begin with that.
Now you're trying to insult me.
It would be in relation to private contractual matters. You will recall that Councillor Thornton in the past was removed from any of the committees and was not privy to
was removed by you.
Was not privy to a number.
I'm not sitting here getting slagged off by a disgraced ex-RMBC councillor. She's here for political purposes. She doesn't live in Anston, so I don't see why we should bother asking any questions.
Chairman, can you ask Councillor Thornton to be quiet and not be so rude to people in the public, please?
I think in actual fact that Councillor Thornton has amply demonstrated why I have grave concerns about him answering the telephone to members of the public and other issues in relation to, I think...
this is the sort of thing I have to put up with.
Is that sufficient answer?
You're the disgraced one, not me.
Thank you.
You're the disgraced one.
What we will confirm is that the clerk and I are in a position...
Chair, if Councillor Thornton continues to misbehave, will you be phoning police to me, Mr Pearson?
One question at a time. So I was just confirming on behalf of myself and the clerk that the clerk has remained in control of any confidential information in the office, so any of the councillors that have been assistants on myself or anyone else, we've only been allowed to access confidential material on the express permission of the clerk, so we don't have access to the council's IT. Next question.
Mrs Joyce Brindley. Is Councillor Thornton the chair of any of Anston Parish Council or charity committees, and if he is the chair of the staffing committee, do you think that this poses a conflict of interest? And, by the way, I was told by the clerk that Councillor Thornton was dealing with the financial matters, i.e. a cheque that I paid in for the hire of this hall by the choir, and I am still awaiting a receipt which I requested.
Are you trying to say I've done something wrong, Mrs Brindley?
No, I'm just saying that you're responsible for financial things and you shouldn't...
No, I want to show them up for what they are.
We can do that. Thank you.
Well, why should I sit... It's all right you lot saying be quiet. Why should I sit here taking this type of behaviour from ex-councillors who are disgraced?
No.
It's not a
Members
second,
do
is it?
have a right to speak in meetings.
No, not to me.
You do need to go to the room.
There's a second.
You can confirm that Councillor Thornton is the chairman of the staffing committee, and the staffing committee hasn't raised, and the council hasn't actually raised any concerns in session. I've had some emails from individual members. I won't divulge details, but...
If they're about me, I want to see them. I have a right to see any document that comes through this council.
But is this a declaration of interest? Have you lodged a declaration of
There is no
interest?
declaration of interest. We didn't, as a council or as a staffing committee, actually that staffing committee was well attended. We didn't see any conflict of interest there. In the past, when I was chair of the staffing committee,
we didn't.
I helped with interviews.
I'm not talking to you, keep it quiet.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, could you just ask Councillor Sadler to go through yourself before she speaks at the council meeting, which is the correct protocol?
Certainly, Chair, certainly.
I think some of those questions are going to require a reply in writing from the council rather than just a verbal reply now. So we'll summarise my response here and any additional information and we'll reply in writing to those. The lady at the back, sorry.
My name is Miss Wardle, and if you could at the end of that,
Could you just
Another
the
comment
clerk
just
catch his name?
Miss Wardle, could you give us the name and address of your auditors as well, please, on the end of that reply?
In the written reply, the name and address of the
auditors.
I think they are published actually on the website.
Yeah, I'm quite concerned that we'll actually give permission. We've only got 2 football pitches.
Sorry, there's the microphone banging.
Yeah, it is.
Can you hear the microphone that's bumping?
Somebody's microphone banging.
Sorry.
Kevin, quite concerned that we've only got 2 football pitches in this area. One's waterlogged and the other one, council seems to have let it out to a building company and put a car park straight through the middle of it at the beginning of football season. Can you let me know why you've allowed that to happen?
Can I ask?
And if it is being rented, can you let me know why it's happening? If it's being rented, can you let us know what reflection it will have?
How many questions do you want to ask?
It's all one question, Stuart. What reflection it will have
Talk to me.
on the £10,000 shortfall that every gold council keep telling everybody it's £10,000 a year for 3 years, and last year.
This is not all
We'll be
part
in
of
this last year, next year.
Come on, Drew, get it.
But I'd like to know.
Members and members of the public, please
But I would
stop
like-
interrupting. We're taking questions. I do believe the 2 points are linked.
They
So
are.
I'll take
I would like to know the income from that
Just bottling it,
Bradford
Drew,
Meadows.
just bottling it.
If there is an income from this football.
Now we're getting on to 2 questions.
No, we're not. I'm just asking you to let me know what income we've got this year and how it will reflect on the shortfall that we had a £10,000 from Borough.
Thank you. If you want, so I'll actually ask Councillor Jepson to come in and ask the question regarding the football pitches. But if any member of the public wants any information on the council's income and expenditure, if you have a look on the website, the income is reported according to the council's assets. So you'll see that in the council's
That's
accounts.
just to keep it told as members of the public that we're short on money.
Can I ask Councillor
We're achieving
Jepson
an income as well.
Am I all right to speak now? Thank you. I'm not quite sure where Mr. Cavanagh's got some of the information from. The picture at Crowley wasn't occupied by Jones Homes until last month, so that's not the start of the voting. As far as I'm aware.
Sorry, I can't hear you very well.
The batteries are good.
You're on the line.
I don't think, as far as I'm aware, we didn't have any applications for the use of the pitch at Grogan facilities because the changing rooms aren't in operation.
You never asked me.
They have.
Can members
Oh, yes, they have.
No, they are.
Yes, they have. I can remember getting changing them, so.
You got changed before the ringing back.
They've been used, Kevin, so please. They have been used, they've been out of use.
Right, you've been out of use over 10 years.
Kevin,
I'm not.
please.
I don't want you to lie to me. I want the truth. If people are going to lie to me, then I will listen.
If you interrupt again, I will
Don't even need.
What, Mr. Stewart?
If you're calling me a liar, you want to put that in writing?
Yes.
So-
Why's my name?
I'm a liar, am I?
Yeah, I'll bring you in right.
No, I'll have it in front of all these councillors. You're calling me a liar. Because I've said that those change rooms have been
Well,
used.
I believe that you're telling me lies, because I do not believe that I'm
Continue,
changing.
Drew.
I'm going to suspend
I'm
public
not
session.
speaking.
You didn't suspend it for Stewart.
So why are you bringing me into this meeting? I haven't said anything to you at all, Mr. Kavanagh.
When it suits, they can when it suits.
Okay.
Have you read this, Ben?
Beginning to deteriorate. What, to receive
It weren't beginning, it started deteriorating.
Kevin, please.
Ask him to leave.
To receive apologies for absence, we haven't got any apologies in.
Absolutely disgusting.
It's Councillor Ireland Senior. Yeah, that's Miss Pastor.
We haven't got anything in the book, but we'll take that. So. If anyone does have apologies, I know Michael has mentioned this before, if anyone does have apologies, can you please try to let Anne know about because she writes it in the she writes it. And Anna requires a reason as well, so we won't leave that out. Okay, so I'm going to close it and second now. Thank you. We just asked at the beginning of the meeting to remind members to use the microphones, please. If anybody wants that microphone back from the public gallery section, please do take it. Any personal interest on the items we discussed, Councillor?
Yeah, I'm going to declare a personal interest in the planning application RB 1621. Personal interest, and I won't take part in the discussion.
RB 2017-1621. Any other?
Can you repeat that? We can't hear.
RB 2017/162.
I think they're on the mission.
Just section 7 for the planning applications, Bigger Solway Planning Board.
Identify items which the press and public has highlighted in here. I'm sure members we will probably have to wrap the meeting up as quickly as we possibly can because there are several contractual matters that we need to discuss. The items that I had were 8.1, which is the lease of the old library, 8.2, potentially for the budget, 8.4, which is called...
Can I just, sorry to interrupt you, Chair, possibly 8.3, and look at you, Clive.
No, I've got. I think that's...
Okay, then I'm happy with that. Right.
That's actually coupled with another item later in the agenda. Great. Replacement flooring, which is a quote, 8.5.
Yeah, can I ask that I'll explain, can I ask that goes into confidential session, because it's a sensitive issue. Once I've explained what the issue is in confidential, then I'll ask councillors if they wish to discuss anything further on that in open session at future meetings.
And I have 9.2, which is council basically discuss the
Right.
I'd just like a bit of clarification why the Lichgate would be a sensitive issue when this is in the public interest for people to know what. No, the Lichgate. It would have been in the public interest for them to know what is going on with our heritage from the.
You're aware what I'm going to say?
There is an issue relating to the site and contract, so it is something. It goes beyond just sort of.
Is it who we're whether we're the custodians or not as a parish council?
That's the question. So I think it is one that
Yeah.
Can I just go back on a few more, Chair? I'm looking at 8.16. I would suggest that needs to be confidential because there could be other issues.
8.16, any comments?
It could relate to contractual.
Any other points?
I've got some more.
Could I include 9.3 to run with 9.2? 9.3 is a run on the contract.
Yeah, can I query?
Yeah, I want something to come to the top, please.
Yes, I've got that.
Thank you.
Could I question 9.1? Because does that involve
Sorry,
contract?
I'm not going to take questions from members of the public, but can we use the microphone, please?
I'm questioning 9.1. Would that involve contractual? If we're doing
Not
quotes?
yet. We need to organise when the next meeting is. Can that
Right,
be
okay,
brought
well,
up?
that's all right.
Are you happy for that to...
It needs to be discussed. They've been talking with the. Yeah.
Any other stuff confidential?
Yeah, do we got 9.3? Have we got 9.4? Because that's contractual.
9.4.
It's contractual.
That one doesn't. Yeah, as far as...
Oh, we say it's already been completed.
It's been done.
It's all right. And 9.6 did we get?
Yeah.
So I think
Any other sections? Proposal of the second for those? No. Miles? No. Philip? Thank you very much. All those in favour? I need a positive show of hands. Okay, thank you.
I don't think you should do stuff in secret as much, really.
We can say it as we get it. To confirm the minutes of the meeting of the 23rd of October. Anything on page 1?
first bit, which is the attendance and the presentation by Kevin Burke, just says Amsden Sanitation. Could we actually have the fact that where the site is on Nursery Road, Edinburgh Drive, please, to clarify that situation?
Okay. Clarify. Anything on page 2?
Yeah, I've got something on page 2, Chair. More observations than anything else. Right, 114/17. That was reducing the quorum from 5 to 3. Can I just say I was a little bit disappointed because the meeting we had after, some of those that voted against that proposal didn't turn up for the following meeting.
Chairman, is
So
it
that's
regarding
that one.
the
So-
minutes,
so-
or is it...
So can I just go on without interrupting me, please, Councillor Ireland?
yeah,
and
we're
item 11
approving the minutes.
Right, and item 116/17, I believe there's some emails flying around on that. I will be replying to the emails. If you want to play games, I'll start playing them.
There's a repeat.
Oh yeah, there is actually, isn't
On the page 2 and 3, I think it is.
It's a repeat of to authorise the logo of the parish council brand, and I can't remember where the other one was.
It's
2117, 2117, and it's repeated as 21317.
213/17, repeat, oh yeah, this is it. 121/17, 123/17, Yep, thank you very much, what's possible? Page 4. So subject to those amendments, and proposer a second of those, please. By Philip, all those in favour? We've got, fortunately, no grant of material. Item 7, consider planning and licensing matters transport issues to receive reports. We actually have got another one, which is this 46, which has been circulating. If anyone hasn't seen this 46, we'll go to that in a second, but this is circulating. This 43's got none. This 44, we've got 1566, 40 Petrie Lane, North Sturton, which is a single story rear extension. Okay, ladies and gents, anyone?
Maybe it's planning.
David, Thomas,
Yeah.
This is 1566. So just what you know about.
Can I make an observation?
Yep.
No. No, sorry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, all those in favour? Thanks very much.
Yeah, I'm a bit dubious about the next one.
There's 1584, and then it's 1627. This one's specifically.
Yeah,
Okay, just to confirm, 1584, we don't need to consider today, that was a local development certificate. Two applications were put in, this one was in error, so that certificate's been rescinded, so there's nothing for us to do that there. 1588, which is 39 Michaels, North Amsterdam, application to sell 2 stick
Are they there?
Yeah.
Have they got TPOs on them?
Yes.
If they have TPOs on them, I would propose that we leave it to the RMBC tree officer, because he will look at them and assess them.
Okay, so we've got two proposals there, one's names and one's tree officer. Are you okay to...
Can you ask Councillor Thornton to use his mic? I can't hear a word he's
Can I ask members to use their microphones, please? Okay, are you happy? Why are you the proposal's first proposal? Can you restate it?
Sorry, well, for this 1588, yeah, it's left to planners and the arboriculture.
Spell that one.
Arboriculture. Three officers. Okay, proposed, seconded, all those in favour? Thank you very much. We've got RB 2017-1598, which is two-storey side and single-storey front and rear extensions, 12 Plantation Avenue, Northampton.
Leave it to the neighbours.
Uh, 1621, which is Orchards Quarry Lane, Northampton. Demolition of position side extension chimney, erection of single-storey front side and rear extension, etc. Neighbours and planners.
Neighbours and planners.
Yeah, it is in the, Councillor Savage is quite right, it is in the conservation area. Having had a look at it, it's quite a substantial amount of work that's going to go into it, but to be fair, the property is set behind the stone wall. I think it's in private area there, so other than comments on the materials that they propose, I think they want to use render, which is obviously smiled upon by planners in those areas. We have to see. I think if anybody's got any comments, which may well be down to the side of the finished property, because I think it's going to probably double it in size, which may be an issue. And the materials, I would think it's again it's planners and conservation officers probably the deciders on.
I'll second.
Neighbours, planners?
Yep.
Okay. I'll ask those in order. Thanks very much. Okay. Right. So it's RB 2017-1627.
Drew, can you ask them to keep the background noise down?
Sorry?
Can you ask them to keep the background noise down?
Can we keep the background noise down, please, ladies and gentlemen?
I think it's from next door, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Everybody looked at this application for the old Kevin Park Road District Council offices and the I'm sorry, but this is the public still talking.
Members of the public, can I ask you not to speak while members are speaking?
Can you turn that mic off? That's buzzing.
Sure, Mike, but
Nobody's smoking.
you just have to shout. Battery's going on.
Sorry, it's not working properly there.
There's one that's ticking and something.
Take it down.
I presume members have had a look at this. I did email the clerk to get some clarification about this one, so members are aware what it is. It's not a straightforward planning application as such. It's purely to change the use of the car park and the building at Dog Kennel Hill to a car sales operation. The land at the moment is owned by whoever owns Kivington Park Steel and Wire Works. My view is that it's going to create a lot of problems on that particular stretch of road. At the moment, it is used for car parking, but there aren't many cars in there, and they're only sort of in and out once a day, arriving for work, leaving at night. Whereas this, if you've had a look what they're proposing, it's going to be quite busy. There's going to be lots of cars in and out. I would suspect lots of customers, although it is a bit out of the way. And there are several other issues about signs, etc., etc. Parking on Dog Kennel Hill. We all know that area is not very good. It's residential just above it. We've got the depot just below it where we've got vehicles in and out. We've got buses, we've got other vehicles to the station and back. So it is quite a busy area traffic-wise. It's really down to what members think. What you have to do is decide whether you think that is, by this application, it's going to create something worse, and that we should ask for a full planning application to go in. That'll then be judged by the planners at the moment. What they're asking for is a straightforward swap of use, basically because it has vehicles on there now, and it'll still have vehicles on there in future. So, I mean, my view is that we formulate a response saying we're not happy with what they're proposing, and take it from there. If anybody else wants to speak.
Okay, so we've got Diane, Ben, and Stuart.
Mine's just a quick one. Clive, are you saying, that, is this a proper planning application, or is this just a licence?
No, it's a proper planning application, but it's for a change of use from a car park to a
sui generis.
My concern is that I would have thought there might have been members of the public that live on there here tonight, but whether they've actually been informed about this, or whether they know about this application is worrying, because I'm sure if they were aware that they might well have turned up and given us their opinion, but I'm concerned that it is going to cause traffic problems there. I say, I don't know about anybody else's views, but those are mine, so I'll be making my representation with the ward council, which is what members think is what parish does.
Yeah, having followed transporters down that hill on numerous occasions, if the traffic is going to be increased and transporters are going to have to turn into that entrance, it is an accident waiting to happen.
Can I ask Clive, would you be willing to write a letter on behalf of the council then to the planning? I'd vote for that. Could you do that for us?
Yeah.
Yeah? So could I propose that Clive write a letter on the council's behalf?
Is everybody happy?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
What's Clive going to say in his letter?
Well, I'm not going to basically it's going to be about transport issues and road safety and
Facts, pure facts, isn't it? Yeah.
But I need members to obviously vote on.
Can I just ask, rather than ask Clive to write on our behalf, can I ask Clive to send some details to Anna, for Anna to put it on?
That's what I mean by
yes,
that.
so it goes on official headed note paper.
Yeah.
But the main
That's what I mean by
the
that.
main points of the letter will be the ones that we've discussed tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything that anybody wants to add? That's proposed by Lyle. Seconder? Thanks, Philip. All those in favour? So Clive will draft a letter to Anna. And we'll send it on. Okay, so just before we go on to 2, we've got list 46, which is in front of us. The first one's Herringthorpe, so we don't need to worry about that one. And 1631. Anybody needs a copy? Anna's got a spare here.
Sorry.
Which is the Limes,
Thank you.
Axel Lane, Southampton, which is notice of intent to prove. Can I suggest that if anyone objects to the proving, that they write to RMBC separately? Are you happy with that one? I might as well say, it's not on the agenda, but let's take a second for that. All those in favour? Thank you. That was Kempton Park. Does that one actually fall within now?
Still, yeah. It
Still
goes
within
all the way up
it's
until the train
edge,
station.
Okay. 1653, which is erection of 4 bungalows with a new access road. So we probably, has anybody actually had time, this is the first time we've seen it, so if anybody has had time to look at that application today, Clive, have you seen that one?
I have, I've not, I saw it when I went on the website. It was one that only came in, I think, last week. It's been some, this is a double whammy for Dog Kennel Hill, because this is the other side, up near the top. There's a house, top left, I think it's the one below that, set behind the stone wall and gates, which has got a massive area of land at the back where they want to put 4 bungalows into this. I seem to remember the one at the top wanted to build 2 years since, and that was turned down.
So it was green.
By the plan, because it was Greenbelt, which I find rather ironic. So I'm not quite sure about this one. Across the road there's been some bungalows built off, and I think of that short road up there. There's been a small development there of bungalows. But they were put up some years since, but the ones at the top house, that was turned down because it was Greenbelt land, so I don't know. Again, my concern is access onto Dog Kennel Lane, which is, or Dog Kennel Hill, which is going to be a bit awkward at the top there, but we would have to comply with highways requirements, and again, it may be that it's part of the Greenbelt. If it's not allocated for that, then it may well get turned down. I'm not quite sure when the closing date for this one is.
If it was only Monday.
20 odd days, wasn't it?
It's going to be.
It will be next month.
Can I suggest that maybe we leave this to the planners, because the planners are aware of that area.
I think what we can do is, as I say, my concern is that vehicles out onto Dog Kennel Hill, because it's near the brow of the hill, and as we all know, there's a speed limit on there, but nobody needs to be 40 down to 30. So whether we just express concerns about vehicles in and out of the proposed site because it's near the top of the hill, it's not necessarily an objection, but it's just raising our concerns about traffic in and out of there. I think if the planners will make a decision whether it's called in Greenbelt or whatever, so I mean that's one route we could take if people are happy with that.
Diane, Ben?
No, sorry. Just to say that at the speed limit, I think it's just below where this entrance is as you go towards Kiverton. Yeah, the 31, and it goes from 40 to 30. And it's still in a 40-mile-an-hour area where this entrance is.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, we've just been discussing the previous one, which is at sort of 200 metres down the hill, and raising our thoughts and possible objections on that because of traffic, and I would feel that we should do so with this one as well, concerning the close proximity of the two developments.
Could I propose that Councillor Jepson might want to include that as part of his letter writing?
Well, I'll do the what we've got one first this weekend, because I think that's got short today.
Okay.
This one a bit longer, so again I'll draft it out.
I'll second it, Drew, for the sake of voting anyway.
Thank you very much. That's seconded. All those in favour? Thank you. Great, so 2. Letter dated the 8th of the 11th. This comes with that information and a plan in the pack as well. Letter dated 8/11/17, DLP consultants regarding public consultation. So this is the proposed building of a residential development, Pennypiece Lane. Stuart had his hand up first. Anybody else?
Yeah, can I just for starters, can I say, I think if members are going to talk about this, just to be careful, because at a later date we're going to be asked to make some form of decision whether we object this or not. So it's probably better for the council to keep discussions general at the moment, because we could be seen to be preempting the outcome. By all means talk about it, but just be careful.
Well, Chairman, it just says to receive, not to discuss. That's all.
Well, you can still receive.
So I propose we receive the letter.
Clive wants to discuss it. You want to?
Well, I'm just going by what it says, to receive, not to discuss.
Well, it makes a proposal. Get it seconded. We'll go around the table for discussion.
Yeah. Okay. And it's seconded. Okay. And
should he be dealing with?
I'd like not to discuss it at length, but any comments on that proposal? Clive? On the proposal?
On the proposal, it's actually from the developers, as Stuart says, it's not from the Borough Council, so what they're doing is actually asking people for their opinions on what they're proposing. Now, as far as I'm aware, all the residents in that area have had a copy of this, and you can access it on the link that they've given. The only problem that I see from this is the fact that...
that's not a comment on the proposal.
No, what I'm saying is there is insufficient information on the website to actually comment. So it's down to residents to make their statements. Apart from the fact that they've shown an old plan, that don't think.
Can I just come on a point? Can I come on a point of order?
Come on, point of order. We have to stick to the process. There's a proposal on the table. It's being seconded. Otherwise, we'll go around in circles for the next hour. Okay? Comments on that particular proposal, which is basically just to move on.
Let's come on. I think it's a sort of point of order. Can somebody who sits on the planning board be making proposals on planning issues?
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
What point of order is that one though?
An interest has been.
I've already given interest.
Yeah.
And if you notice all the way through the...
Council members to decide.
I'm up, carry on, I'm up, I've got to carry on.
All those in favour? Take a look as an against. Okay, that's carried.
Chairman, could I just clarify, this isn't a planning application.
Can't start digging
So
now.
it may not come to a planning application in the future, so there's no interest in it personally.
Can I just point out, Mr. Jones, that it would have probably been faster for Clive to say what he said.
That is also a debate.
There are rules of debate to be adhered. I prefer for it not to be able to see if that's possible. Can I okay. So we've done all the statutory items. We've got that.
Sorry about that, but Councillor Gregg is quite right. It is a pre-application, so it is discussion with the planners and actually engagement. So Councillor Ireland probably should.
No, it's not an application though.
Can we not get into it?
So, really, I think...
Can we move on?
Leave it at that, Clive.
Fail on that one, I think.
Send in your comments. Okay. Can I just remind people, use the microphones. Please, can we follow the rules of debate? We've got quite a bit to get through. Hopefully we can do it quite quickly. Hopefully you've all read your standing orders and you know the rules of debate. Can I suggest that where people have put items on the agenda, can you propose something? Do you only first speak to your item? If you have a proposal that you're going to put forward, put that proposal forward, because there's not time limits what we're going to discuss, because we tend to talk around points, and then somebody puts a proposal in halfway along the discussion. So please, if you've got something that you want to propose, put the proposal straight on the table, and then we can discuss it properly. Okay. There are a couple of points. The first one, I know it might be quite contentious, but there's a right to do it under Standing Order 28. It says that the Councillor may seek an answer to a question concerning the business of the Council. Notice has been given, so Councillor Ireland, I don't want to get into discussion, so please go through the chair. Councillor Ireland, you have a question that you wish to seek the answer.
It was actually I three questions, which I'm entitled to do. It's regarding the resolution last week at the council meeting, which the resolution was for Councillor Ireland JC to be asked to remove the sign from Retford Meadows, as it was not authorised by council, and Councillor Ireland to be asked to follow standing orders before doing any further works. The first question is where is the exact location of this sign? Because this is to the chair. This is to the chairman.
It's through the chair. The councillor, any councillor's got the right to ask that question.
Just to clarify where.
Get his questions out, and then we'll deal with it.
Just to clarify where this sign is.
Okay. Next question.
The second question, it's the second part of the resolution is quite vague, and there's implied breaches of standing orders with this one, and I'd like to know which standing orders have been breached in the past, and which ones need to be complied with in the future when completing further works.
Okay, and was there a third?
Your third question, the resolution states further works. Could the proposer specify what he means by further works, or she means?
So we got two. So one, where is the sign? Two, the resolution. So I think I can clarify that one from the discussion that we had. I think the proposers were basically suggesting that the council carried the motion that a sign was erected, and the sign was erected without the council's permission. So that was that one, and further works again. It's probably best left with the proposer. So in terms of how the council wishes to deal with that, can I have a proposal? Do we want to reply to that in writing through the clerk? Do the proposers of that motion want to address it now?
Personally, I don't want to reply at all.
Okay. Any other comments?
Right, I'll come in. I was the proposer. This is just for everybody else's information that wasn't here. I was the proposer. Councillor Ireland has been quite disingenuous in the case that he's trying to make out he doesn't know who the proposer was, hence his mistake. Then can he give me an answer? Then he changed it to she. There's already an email being sent round, and again, Councillor Ireland knows who made the proposal. I intend to reply to that email. But I think, again, what I find quite disturbing is there's an attempt here, I believe, to mislead this council. Twice, Councillor Ireland has asked what sign. Councillor Ireland knows perfectly well what sign we've been referring to because his name was written on the bottom of it. And if he's implying he doesn't know about the sign or anything to it, I'd ask him now to deny that he placed a sign, or him or his group placed a sign up at Rackford Meadows with his name on. And I'd also ask him if he will supply us a copy of the insurance, public liability insurance, he assured us we had.
So we've got that on record. Rather than get
It's not a question and answer session, is it?
Yeah.
It's just for me to ask the questions. So
Well, if he can ask
it's
the
really gone off
questions,
track
then I can
slightly
ask
there.
them.
Yeah, of course.
So you need to give 10 days notice to ask questions in Council Thornton. If you do know your standing orders.
Just quite all
As
right.
an ex-vice chairman, you should know that.
Don't worry, it's digging a big hole.
That is correct. So, can I propose to allow us to move on? Stuart, Christine said she doesn't want to say anything. Are you okay? We've got those questions written down. Would you be able to draft a reply?
I'm not reply. I'm going to reply to the email that was sent round. I'll reply in my own time. If councils want to play games, that's quite all right by me. You shouldn't dig deeper when you're already in a hole.
Okay. So, members, does anyone want to propose that the council does anything as a body?
I think it's only fair there's at least a written thing, so it's
From the council?
a written reply. Let me find it. I think it's only fair that there's a written reply from council to the three questions.
Can I?
I suppose just before you come
I
in,
didn't make the decision.
some of that information can only really come from the proposer of that resolution. I mean, the clerk and I can certainly draft a reply from our end, but I think perhaps you're seeking answers from the proposer of that resolution. Is that the case, Tom?
Yes, but just remind
The council can't do that.
Can I just remind the proposer that if they, under Standing Order 31, they do not have to answer, which is an easy way out from answering a question, I
Oh,
suppose.
don't worry, I'm
But
not
that is
taking
the
the easy
standing
way out.
order, so they're entitled not to answer, if they so wish.
Can I just come in on that, Chair?
Of course.
Do we have a proposal on the table?
We don't really have. We have Miles. You did start.
I think it's only fair that there's a written response.
We're proposing that there's a written response from.
I think it has to come from Stuart if he's going to make the question.
Well, I'm not responding because I'm going to respond to the email, if that clarifies things. But can I ask that if the council is of a mind to make a written response on behalf of the council, that we ask Councillor Ireland to clarify whether he or his group erected that sign and whether his name was on the bottom, and can we also ask him to supply a copy of the public liability insurance that he says he was covered under from a charity.
Can you say regarding the public liability insurance, because Anderson Community Woodland Group is a member of Rotherford, we are covered by their public liability insurance, so I think that answers your question.
No,
if you need a copy of it, you can go onto the Rotherford website.
Okay. So rather than getting to, I'm going to put a stop to the discussion there, if I may. We do have a proposal on the table from Miles, which is that the council requests the person who moved that resolution.
But mine was amendment to add. Mine was amendment under standing orders to add words to that resolution. To ask for clarification whether Councillor Ireland or his group placed that sign there, and whether, and ask Councillor Ireland for a copy of the public liability insurance he was insured under.
Okay, so we'll vote on the amendments. Does that amendment have a seconder? Okay. Any comments on that? We can move to the vote. All those in favour? Of the amendment. Against? Oh, sorry, I've got one here. It's just persistent coughing. Okay.
Could I just say, Drew, just one last thing on this, that the tree planting in Amston, it showed it in a good light, which we don't get much good publicity, do we, in Amston, and I've publicised Anston's Wood, and we had coverage in Sheffield Star, Worksop Guardian, Rotherham Advertiser, Retford Times, Twitter and Facebook, which why do people seem to be against anything good in the village? I'll finish now anyway. And it wasn't political.
Next business, thank you.
So I don't think trees can vote, can they really?
Number 49.
The Green Party.
No, I mean that's the one you stand on for that.
I just do think that was the right waste of time, that resolution, really. Waste of council time. About a sign that's non-existent.
If we, ladies and gents, okay, if we may, Councillor Sadler has just asked that we bring an item up. I think it's one that we can deal with very quickly, so Christine, could you make your proposal under 9.7?
Right, I am seeking approval from the council for a voluntary group calling themselves Anti-Fracking South Yorkshire, who are currently working in Woodsets against the fracking threat, be granted free use of the hall for a public meeting.
That's a proposal. To get it moving, I'll second that.
While I'm not against it, I'd like to know why the group themselves actually are asking permission. Because the gentleman came here and gave a presentation, I can't think of his name, it was the one that
David Burley.
David Burley. I just wondered why they weren't putting in the application themselves. So we've got a proper formal application that could be decided, because it's obviously we need to make sure that they abide by the conditions of hire and everything else, so it's got to come as a proper application, I would have thought. I'm not against it, but it's just...
Can I just see if before Christine answers, just for the sake of the rules of debate and speed, anybody else got any questions? Stuart, can we get yours and then...
just a quick one. Christine already knows my feelings on this.
Could you use the microphone?
I may well do. If we are of a mind to grant free use to the hall for the anti-fracking group, I think we also have to bear in mind we have to extend the same, shall we say, courtesy to any group that's pro-fracking. I'm getting a little bit concerned at the moment that the anti-fracking group, well, very good to them that they're up and organised and everything, but as a council I think we need to be quite careful again to be seen, unless we make a decision of whether we're pro or against fracking in a council meeting, I think we should be very aware that we should remain neutral. A, it's not on our land, and B, we haven't had a proposal. If we allow free use for one, I think we need to give free use for anybody else.
Yeah.
So, Christine, do you want to reply to Clive, and then we'll move to the vote?
Right. Well, first off, this will be a public meeting for information only. To answer you, Clive, I offered to David Burley to try to get the hall for free because I thought it would shortcut the usual 6-month lag in council business. Does that answer? I spoke to David Burley at Woodsets and offered to him.
Are we happy to move to the vote?
Can I?
You've already spoken once.
I'm going to make an amendment.
Okay, make an amendment.
Right, can I ask what the original proposal is?
The original proposal was to allow Anti-Fracking South Yorkshire to hold a public meeting, free use of the hall.
Right. I'd like to. Yes, I'm quite happy with that. But I'd like to make an amendment to reflect the fact that any pro-fracking groups can also approach us.
Okay. Was that answered as a second?
On a one-off basis.
Okay, so can we move to the vote on the amendment? Miles?
No, second.
Okay.
Well, rather than an amendment, I'd like to add it to the original proposal, if that's all right, just to extend it.
Christine, are you happy to amend your proposal? You're happy to do that? Okay, so Christine's proposal, it is seconded. You're happy to change your proposal?
Yep.
Fine, so we'll just vote on it together.
Could Anna read out the proposal?
Okay, so the proposal is to grant free use of the hall to Anti-Fracking South Yorkshire, and you agreed to amend that to and also any other sort of pro-fracking groups, essentially. Yeah, for one use.
Including
Ineos. Yeah,
Who won't
including
come.
Ineos who want, if they wish to submit that application to us, that's absolutely fine. Okay. So it's proposed and seconded. All those in favour? Okay, against? That's carried.
Chairman, could it be noted that I've abstained because I'm on the planning board. When it comes to planning, I won't be totally unbiased.
Can we bring 9-1 forward as well, Chair, as mentioned?
Can you?
9-1.
9-1, what do you want to do with 9-1?
Just to give me permission to start a meeting, basically.
Yeah, well we're going to 9-1 now anyway. Okay. Yeah, thank you. We just brought that one up the agenda because there was a request to bring it up the agenda. But you're next, so Council. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, do you want to? Fire away.
Well, basically, the gentleman who did the fireworks for us this year, who's had quite a good reception from everybody in the village, is quite eager to get us sorted for next year. However, there is a bit to discuss this year, mainly because bonfire night's on a Monday, and there's other bits and bobs. He wants to make sure we either get the Monday slot or the Friday slot before, which we need to talk about in the meeting. So I'd like to be given permission from council to organise a first meeting and have a sit down with the gentleman from the firework group. Talk about it.
To authorise Councillor Manship to meet with the fireworks and the other suppliers for bonfire night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I agree with what you're saying, but what you're actually proposing is to speak to
Actually, to organise a meeting for everybody, actually, not just myself.
Right,
for everybody.
because the impression I was getting that you wanted to organise a meeting with the person who did the fireworks.
Yeah.
You have to bear in mind that because of the cost, that you have to enter into some form of quotes with other
Which
companies
is why I
as
want
well.
to get the quote from him first.
So if you're suggesting to meet the one competitor, as it were, you will need to think about other competitors.
I agree. But the meeting.
So are you actually asking us to authorise something, or are you just asking to have a meeting? Have a meeting.
Yeah.
But is that a meeting between us and the bonfire person? And the fireworks person, or is it a general meeting of council?
You were proposing a general meeting?
Yes.
So that any councillor could come, and suppliers could come.
Yeah, and I'll organise it.
So you'll invite the suppliers,
Yes.
you'll invite councillors.
Yep.
Okay. Just have a second then. Yeah. If we're happy to move to the vote, all those in favour? Okay. authorise them. So, now let's go back to the start. 8.1 is in confidential, 8.2 is in confidential. Okay, so 8.3 and a later one, let me just find it. On here, there are two that basically say the same thing, 9.8. So if we take these, we're happy to take these two together because they're both saying exactly the same thing. So we've got 8.3, which is to discuss or implement the recommendations from the YLCA report as approved by Council, and then just to add a little bit more detail to it, to implement recommendations contained in the report and specifically to suspend item C in the public session for a limited period, along with the item 12.
Can I just ask a question, Chair? On the top it says this is a confidential report, and the request that it's not put into public domain unless and until the council resolves to do so. Have we resolved to put it into the public domain?
I think we did.
I think we received it, but I don't believe we put it into...
It was discussed in open, council and that was all.
It's all right, okay, then I've drawn your attention. It's go on then.
Because we wanted the content of that report to be known. Okay, Clive, do you want to make a proposal?
Yes, if I can. I was away on holiday when this was discussed, but I'm concerned that this was March, and we've gone along in the same manner since that report was received and resolved and accepted. I think it's time we actually did something about it. It's no point asking. I mean, I think it was a result of a meeting last November, which is more or less a year since the council met with the YLCA. We've had I know it took a long time to get the recommendations, but they've come through, and my view is that if we've accepted the report, then we should implement the recommendations, and it's just trying to get something in place, because at the moment we need to make progress and we're not being allowed to do it, and I think we need to take the steps that we've been recommended that we can do by a YLCA to try and move things forward. So I know this has been on the agenda for a couple of months now, but I think we need to, I'm glad it's come to the top, we need to make progress, and I welcome the fact that other councillors have seen the same sort of thing and put a similar item on the agenda, so I'll leave it up to the people to discuss.
Can I ask you to make a further proposal?
Yeah, I would like to propose that the recommendation in the YLCA report set out, I'm not sure whatever the date was, I know I'll have that, and approved by Council on the 20th of March 1917 are put into place. Open the floor to anybody else who wants to say otherwise.
If I could just come in, if I could, Clive. So the report gives some things that are optional and some things that are recommended. So I think under 9.8 we were actually recommending something that they said was an option. I think we need to be quite clear.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to progress that and bring that second part together, then I'll wait until we've discussed that.
Right.
Okay.
For the sake of speed, can we each speak once and move on as rapidly as we can? Stuart?
Yeah, I'm not too sure what we're actually... Can I, with the Chair's permission, just read out the recommendation at item 4, and it's, the Council may wish to be aware that there is no legal compulsion to hold a public participation session. However, in the interest of openness and transparency, it is desirable to do so. However, if the authority is experiencing such problems with the session that it is becoming unmanageable, and particularly after the rules for the session have been enforced, the Council may suspend the standing order that permits this opportunity for members of the public and stop holding the sessions for a couple of months in the hope that when they resume, the behaviour of some members of the public is more accessible. I read it out as a recommendation. I'll make no further comment.
Is that accessible?
So that's specifically item C in the public session and item 12. Well,
just in response. Just in response to that, because how I feel the proposal I've got on there, on 8.7, if we just stick to that, that should help negate any issues we have in regards to that. should you think 8, 7 and 9, 8 should be talked together, do you reckon? One can't exist without the other, can it? Oh, well, one can't happen if the other one's happen.
Tonight has been one of the quietest meetings we have had for the last 6 months. And I, as a new councillor, have got to the state where I feel that the public are continually interrupting sessions to the benefit of the public, not to the benefit of the council. It's a few minority that refuse to adhere to council procedures, refuse to leave meetings, argue with the chairman under the auspices of we have freedom of speech, and as a councillor I propose that we exclude the public for 2 months.
No? No?
Can I ask?
No.
We are.
I believe we're all...
Chairman, thank you, Chairman.
Unopposed.
Looking at 9.8, I think we should...
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
Thank you, Chairman. 9.8, I think we should move to the proposition there to suspend Standing Order 95. Rule 12, I think it is, should be suspended for a period of 3 months.
Again, just to bring back my point.
You've spoken once. I'm only going to let people speak once. You've got up to 3 minutes.
Can I just have a clarification?
Sorry, Stuart.
No, I'm sorry, clarification. I'll stand up. Right, point of order. Is there a proposal, and who made the proposal?
There is a proposal on the table. It was made by Clive. It's subsequently sort of been... you were basically proposing an amendment there. There was a proposal on the table. It's proposed by Clive. It's seconded. So can we make sure that we just speak Christine and then...
Yes, make sure you're speaking to it.
Could you show me how to do it?
No, I'm any trouble speaking there.
No, I do, Jonathan, especially the truth.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen, please.
Sorry, seriously, don't think of coming show.
That was quite close to the... it was really quite close.
In defence...
I apologise.
In defence of the public, I do think Anston Parish councillors should take some responsibility for the disorder. I'm not suggesting that the councillors take all the responsibility, but some of it. And perhaps if a warning is given to the public that if they're not more orderly, they will be banned, that might suffice. I do not agree with stopping the public from speaking.
I personally think it would be a really bad idea to ban the public from speaking in public meetings. I know they don't have any legal right to, but they are the public. We represent them, so we should let them have a say. And I'm not elected, I was co-opted on. The majority of this council have been co-opted. And all those who went through an election last time were actually returned unopposed. So we are, technically, nobody has been elected. But anyway, to get back onto the subject, sorry,
we're not going to get into the
wavered slightly.
Of electoral legislation, but Clive is correct.
But anyway, the majority of us were co-opted on, but that's a correct and fact. But I believe that we should let the public have the say, and I think the chairman has done quite a good job of keeping the public and some councillors on a short leash and to comply with the rules.
Doesn't involve himself. No, if he's going to take Snipes, he's going to get them back. He's going to give Snipes how much he'd expect of them.
We're waiting for it.
Taking it personally because the Snipes are attacking you.
Chairman, just to clarify, it wasn't directed at any particular councillor, but obviously there is some guilt there that they are troubled with.
You're not at school.
It was very cheap. But
it would be totally unfair if we were to abdicate from all responsibility for the problems that we see from what we perceived to see from the public gallery, because we have been, and this is backing you, Christine, we've been as guilty as the public in provoking discussions. You be quiet, please. You've been told once. Just be quiet, please. Just be quiet, please. And this is an exact illustration of the problem. This is an exact illustration of the problem. As soon as a question is asked in good faith, we don't answer the question. We ask why that question is being asked. Is there an ulterior motive? Is there a commercial reason behind it? And we've seen this for the whole of this term of this council, and it started off well, but it's grown now into such a condition that we have this problem with, and I'm not condoning it at all, with interruptions from this, but it's all grown from a frustration that I can see with the public, that then the questions are not being answered properly, they're being questioned themselves. And we are in contravention of the standing orders by moving into discussion. When we do move into discussion, then an argument ensues and a right to reply follows. We finish up with arguments which are seen to be harassment and bullying and all this sort of thing, and it's not. You know, we are the ones who have broken the code of conduct, the standing orders, not the public.
Yes. If you think I've broken the code of conduct, get it in writing.
I agree.
Broken the code.
Get it in writing.
We've all broken it.
Get it in
Proposal
writing.
now be put, please. Standing order 49, that be put.
Far away.
I mean, I'm not condoning whichever way it goes. I came to previous council meetings prior to this one, and I can remember when public asked questions, if those questions were deemed quite probing, the councillors just closed ranks basically or walked out, and I can vividly remember this. Hence why I decided I wanted to do something that potentially might help. It doesn't help that we do have members of the public that seem to, what for one word or another, is try and goad particular councillors. We're quite well aware of who they are. Today it seems pretty good at the moment. It's been reasonably quiet. People have been on both sides, and I think it is a two-way thing. But I agree with what the Article C is, that says potentially we don't have to have it, but I think the only people that would be disadvantaged would be the people of Anston. And I think to move it forward, both parties, the public and us, need to address the situation. I mean, at the end of the day, we are adults, in inverted commas. People not always behave that way, but it needs to move it forward. Now, the only disadvantage I see it is the meetings go on, we don't get things resolved, they get put further and further behind. Now, that reflects on us, but not necessarily is it all 100% us. Members of the public do create issues and don't actually. There is an allotted time, so I think if we do stick to that, and that is it, the end of it. If the public don't come and have their say, then I would say tough, because it can't be that appropriate for them to do that. But I think at the moment it wouldn't be good to do it. I would say, see what happens another month down the road. If it degrades to how it has in the past, then I would say yes, definitely bring it ahead. But the problem is some of the councillors, whether elected or not, how you view it, is we're here in our time voluntarily. We do this to try and help Anston itself, not ourselves, anything at all. There's no reward for it for us. We're trying to move it forward. And I would say that people stop goading each other, basically. It's not point scoring for anybody. And the only people that are suffering is the people of Anston. That's my bit.
Any other councillors who haven't already, you've got your right to reply. I just wanted to say, it would be wonderful if we could have orderly conduct in the public session. I think councillors who have spoken, I mean, you probably turned that on, so now I'll get recorded. It would be good if we could have orderly conduct in the public session. Some councillors and some members of the public are responsible for the disruption. There are people that regularly shout. I mean, obviously when we haven't got a police presence in the audience, the meetings do degenerate, and they do basically go back to what is perhaps one personal disagreement, or perhaps two or three personal disagreements with specific members of the public. And I can count them on one hand, the members of the public and the councillors that seem to want to get into this, shall we call it, very heated discussion. As Paul says, the majority of particularly councillors that were new to the council at the start of this term, we've got no interest in personal feuds that existed on the previous council or with members of the public. We just want to get on with getting through the agenda. And to be fair, as chairman, it's actually very, very difficult trying to control councillors and members of the public and try and keep some sort of progress through this agenda. That's all I wanted to say. But again, we spent 20 odd minutes.
Please allow the full 20 minutes?
Right, they can't speak. Chair, they can't speak, and this is the problem that we're not resolved.
That is the problem, Stuart. You are quite right.
She knows that this is next
Members
council.
of the public shouldn't be speaking at times where it's not on the agenda to do so. But let's go. So we've got a proposal, we've got an amendment to that proposal. Ben, shall we vote on your amendment? Yes.
Can you just remind me, sorry, now?
So that wording, so you were basically saying to suspend item C in the public session for a period of 3 months.
What was the amendment?
To suspend item, so it was basically to firm up the wording of Clive's proposal. So Clive was proposing basically that we suspend elements of the public session in accordance with the YLCA report. Ben firmed that up as part of his amendment, specifically to suspend item C of the public session and item 12 for a limited period of 3 months, I think it was, wasn't it, Ben?
So, just to clarify, is this vote to prevent members of the public from speaking?
In those specific items. It wouldn't preclude members of the public from writing to us, putting a question in writing. It's an attempt, as specified in the YLCA report, to deal with disorderly conduct.
Chairman, could I request to record a vote as well, please?
I knew that was going to be a question.
I think it's quite a wise thing to do, actually.
I request a closed vote.
Okay.
A closed vote.
Vote by secret ballot.
Why? Because some people might feel intimidated when they record, and it's up to their personal choice, Councillor Ryan. So, if it has to be recorded, everyone has got to agree to it. I don't.
Can we do that?
I think I'll go to a closed vote where it goes to either yes or a no to the clerk.
Rocky Road,
that one or that.
Okay.
So we can actually.
Voting by signed ballot requires 2 members to request. So normally we would have voting by a show of hands. If 2 members so request, it can be by signed ballot.
Are we allowed? Sorry, Dan.
You request as well? Okay, so we basically got 2 requests.
Are we allowed to have a discussion on this now?
Yeah,
that's
so basically we have to, I know it's going to take an awful lot of time, which is time that we don't want to spend having this discussion, but perfectly valid. The rules of participation, so basically we've got 1 proposal for a recorded vote, and we've got 2 other councillors requesting some ballots. So we basically have to vote on whether we're going to vote by recorded vote. So basically the first proposal...
Could we have a recorded vote for that one then as well? Then? No, not really. Sorry.
So you're proposing, you're asking for a recorded... Are you withdrawing that proposal?
Yes.
If you go to ballot, it's a recorded vote.
So if we, it is recorded, yeah. So you're withdrawing your request from the recorded vote?
What, for the...
recorded vote.
Do we vote on...
Well, you were the first person to request it. You
Yeah.
requested a recorded vote.
That still stands.
Okay, that still stands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. So now we'll take yours as the first proposal, as it says in the standing order. So we will vote on whether we are going to have a recorded vote, if that makes sense. Okay?
Yes.
It's seconded. Okay. So members who are in favour of having a recorded vote, as Jonathan requested, and that wouldn't be as requested. Okay. Are we all clear?
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't
Can
terribly
right,
out.
can I just try and point something out right? There was a proposal for a recorded vote, but then obviously it's now being proposed we have a ballot. If we vote on the ballot and the ballot is accepted, that is a recorded vote, because it will show us in the minutes as a ballot, will it?
It will show up.
I'm trying to get away with one or other, to be honest.
It can show up, but it won't list which way it voted. So it will say that there was a majority or not, but it won't name names, which I think is the intention. So we basically just have to vote on the proposals one by one. So the proposal is for a standard recorded vote, as we would do in any other council session. It has been seconded. All those in favour of the standard recorded vote? Okay. Against? So is carried. Great. Now we're ready to go to the recorded vote.
Could you remind us again?
I'll remind you. Yep, I'll remind you. So it is the amendment that we're voting on, which is Ben's amendment, which is to suspend item C in the public session, item 12, for a period of 3 months.
Councillor Bensley? Councillor Bowers? Councillor Graham? Councillor Ireland?
This is for a recorded vote because the people have gone
No,
forward.
we've done that.
No, this is
No, so we're voting
Sorry,
on it.
sorry,
This is your actual vote.
sorry.
Against.
Against. Sorry about that.
Against. Against.
Councillor Matthews?
Against.
Councillor Fowler?
Against.
Yes.
Councillor Carney?
Abstain.
Councillor Todd?
Against.
Councillor Thornton?
For.
Councillor Byrne?
Against.
I'll remind you all next meeting.
Little less solicitation
On to the next one.
What was that? What was the result?
It's fallen by a significant majority. Okay. We're now going back to the agenda. So, after all that discussion.
So do I don't get a chance to speak.
You can if you want.
Too late, because we've just done the vote.
No, that was
I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go. I'm just saying the
Right to
vote.
reply.
Yeah, but you have. The vote's just been taken. That's the problem.
Just take a vote. Sorry, Clive, you need to indicate that you want to speak.
Sorry. Okay.
What do you want? Is it going to be of any material difference?
Well, I would like, I hopefully. Because it's, if I can just explain the background, we've sat here for this last 7-8 months, and members are quite right. People have, from the floor, have carried on talking through meetings. Councillors have responded, and it's dissolved into basically chaos for the last 7 or 8 months. Now, I don't come down here on a regular, well, I do come down here on a regular basis, but I don't come down here to waste 3 hours on a Monday night and achieve nothing, and I don't think a lot of the other councillors do either. But I wanted to put this forward because we've had this report from YLCA. They are obviously aware of the problems that we've had, and we've got lots of ex-councillors in the audience who should know all about this and perhaps should know better in some respects and follow the rules of the meeting. They set out for everybody to to follow. We've had a quiet meeting tonight, and that's probably because we've got a member of South Yorkshire Police in the audience. Actually, what you're doing, you're proving my point. Because you can't.
Stand up and say something.
You can't.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on.
It just proves my point.
I'm sorry, I'm absolutely at the limit. 8-7. 8-7. Councillor Manson. Ladies and gentlemen, please, can you be quiet?
This is part of the problem.
Oh.
I was just going to raise one point in that basically Clive is putting his decision forward, and it's been exactly, we've gone back to what happened before, that people basically have not allowed him to put his point across, and he's got a right to do it.
You're quite right. He didn't actually make it absolutely clear that he wanted his right to reply. We were voting on the amendment anyway, so actually then had a right to reply. We're just going to end up, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to end up in another 10 minutes of going round in circles about why the council's doing something, why not the public is doing something. Can we not just go through the agenda?
Chair, with due respect, you need to get a grip of the meeting, because the reason why the public is still carrying on is because you're not suspending the meeting, you're not threatening to evict them, they're carrying on because you're not doing nothing.
Sorry, please don't prove the point. The members of the public have actually been relatively well behaved this evening, which does make a little bit of a change, I have to say. They've been relatively well behaved. We need to kind of hold up our end of the bargain and actually get through the damage.
If you like, I'd like to stand and stand in order 49 then, which allows us to move on. That's okay. Just have to stand for it as well. Right? So, standing order. That way, the debate now be easier. Oh, we're there. Brilliant. So, 8-7, I think, is a fair...
Oh, sorry, my apologies. 8-6.
Oh, yeah. You draw me in.
Sorry. Renewal of the Regional Employers Organisation subscription. Hopefully this is suitably dry, that it won't invoke anyone's aggression. Proposal, Clive?
Yeah. I don't see what benefit actually we get from it, so, and I didn't even know we were subscribing to the Regional Employers Organisation, so my view is that we don't renew it if we already have it.
No use to the clerk, is it? Nope. All right, there we go.
Anyone else?
I'll second.
Seconded. Anyone else want to speak on that particular proposal? The proposal is not to review that subscription. There's no use to the clerk.
Yep.
All those in favour?
Yep.
See, when we actually get through things, we get through them reasonably well. 8-7. Councillor Manship.
It's a happy middle ground, I think, that one. But I'd also like to slightly amend it as well, because those that we don't get back to in the allotted time, that we should get back to in writing as well. So we adhere to the strict 20 minutes, and after the 20 minutes, all those questions that aren't answered are got back to in writing. And that's my proposal.
Okay, so you're proposing a prompt end to the public session after the allotted time. Any questions that we don't get to should be submitted and responded to.
Yes.
I don't agree with that, I'm sorry, Miles, because if we did get a lot of people in who go to the trouble to come down here to make a particular point and then, through no fault of their own, just because there's a lot of people that are not allowed to speak, and I don't think that's fair. It's not a nice way to treat parishioners. We are here to serve parishioners, not dictate to them.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
That's it, that's it.
Ladies and gents in the public
In
gallery, please.
response to what Christine's just said, would it be appropriate to, as the public, to inquire who is going to ask a question, so that you know how many questions you're going to get? So if there's only 3 members of the public and 3 questions, fine. If there's 20 members and 20 questions, it alters it immensely. Well, it's normally 4 or 5. That's the complication. Obviously tonight there is more than, but some people that may not be as, what's the word I'm looking for, as vocal, may not get to ask their question because somebody's messed up the job for them, which has normally happened in the past.
Just like to point out that in standing orders, the same point as standing orders we've just been referring to, I do believe there's a time limit on each question. The public are allowed to ask a question, but what happens is deliberately, in my opinion, the public or certain members of the public ask a question, then try to engage the chairman in conversation in order to provoke reactions. If the public were to ask the questions, quite rightly, we should be held to account and we should answer the questions. It's a two-way process. I think there's a 3-minute limit.
Okay, any other members want to speak on that one?
I'd ask that put to the vote, please, Chair.
Okay, can you just remind us of the proposal?
That.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Clive.
Yeah, just to add. If we stuck to this 20 minutes, I think most parish council or town council have the same sort of thing. Some don't have as many opportunities as we give members of the public. Nobody wants to curtail that, but if that opportunity is being abused and it's stopping us actually getting through the meeting, we shouldn't have to go into added on time after 9:30 till 10 o'clock to try and pull back time that we've lost because members of the public don't adhere to the 20-minute rule. And my view is that perhaps we should follow the rules of Dinnington Town Council, and when people arrive, ask them to write the question out, submit it to the chair, it's read out, so all councillors are aware of it, then that stops people asking the question. As long as you know the name of the person who's put it, you have to put your name and address, submit your question, and then it's read out by the chairman, and then members try and answer it. And I think that is a better way, because once a member of the public asks the question vocally, then that's where we start to lose control. And I think if they know that the question's there in front of us, it's going to get answered or hopefully get answered, then that will stop a lot of the aggravation, because the public session at the beginning is where we lose time, and the public session at the end is where we lose time, and these two areas always dissolve into argument, etc., etc. I don't want to get into argument with members of the public. I don't want to get in argument with anybody. I want to come down here and get some business and move it forward. But we've got to be sensible about this. And if we're not, then we're going to have to revisit the rules or the things that YLCA have recommended. They've not done it off a whim. They've done it because of discussions we've had with them, and they're the recommendations. We can always go back to it. We'll revisit it in 6 months' time if it carries on. And I have no problems about that, but I think everybody has got to abide by what's here. Take notice of the chairman, not continually talk through meetings. Let's get on with it. I think the members of the public might get a better response from some councillors if they actually did that, so it's a two-way thing.
Can I just, me and then Ben, if we can, just to clarify that actually I have from the end of the public session, there's only one meeting I think in the last 6 months where it ran over 20 minutes, and that's because we had some guest speakers. So we have actually been ending the public session after 20 minutes.
That was in response to the other question as well.
The
that
main
was on
point
about getting rid of it.
The public session descends into argument, and that the rest of the meeting, other parts of the meeting, end up becoming a two-way discussion. That's the problem.
Chairman, I think as Clive mentioned there's a great deal of benefit in perhaps adopting the system that a neighbouring parish uses. This would prevent this concept of to and froing between people and the period of time being elongated. So I'd like to propose that we discontinue the verbal question session and substitute it with a written question.
I think we should make that another agenda item.
If we vote to suspend standing orders, we can go back and make another decision on something we've done in 6 months.
I think that should be another agenda item to the one that's on at the moment. I think that should be another agenda item.
We made a proposal.
I think Miles is probably right there, actually, in that his agenda item is to enforce prompt end to the public session.
And to write to those.
I think that would probably need to come back again, it's a bit like Grogat and all of the rest of it, isn't it?
Yes.
It's, probably does need to come back on another agenda. So Miles, your proposal.
It's not really a proposal, I suppose, if it's been happening, is it? So, I suppose it's to receive and accept that it happens, I think. There we go, yeah, I'll be happy with that.
Can I just say, Chair, with 8.7 is to agree to enforce the prompt end of the public session. Are you making a proposal, Miles? Because
I
if
think
so,
we all
need
agree
to vote.
already.
I think he's just withdrawn it.
Yeah, withdrawing it, so we can crack on.
That's what we've just been talking about.
No, it should be another agenda item.
No, you can't make that decision.
Agenda item, then.
No, you can't make that decision. If we're on subject and the councillor makes a proposal that's relevant to the subject we're discussing, that councillor's allowed to make a proposal.
It alters it though.
You ain't got the right, Miles, to turn around and say what a councillor can and can't propose.
I'm happy to bring it forward next.
Could you?
Thank you. It makes more sense.
Okay.
It's half the problem, it's half the councillors don't know that they're doing
I'll
it.
withdraw 8.8
Excuse my French.
because it's just going to need some more discussion. 8.8 withdrawn. 8.9.
Yes. Thank God. So, 4 months after them being on the agenda. I think it might be more than 4 months.
Camping's gone because it's just going to it's just going to turn into the same discussion we had tonight. So it's withdrawn.
You've all received these. I personalised them all for you as well. The main thing I want to get to this, I want to propose that we receive and also take these into account when we put the budget together, and also when we make decisions based on local planning and amendments to the parks and so on and so forth. It is only a small survey which was done in here, but as you can see further down the agenda, I do have ambitions to do larger ones. So if anybody would like to make any discussions on this, again I apologise for punctuation and grammar.
Okay, Diane and Stuart, so the first two, and Christine. Diane, Stuart, Christine.
I'm not sure what methodology was used to complete this report. I find that I find that the sample group is a very small sample group and has been targeted rather than generalised, and I find it very difficult that Councillor Manship has put this together, and I do not find it being a non-biased report. Those are my comments.
Yeah. Yes, we've had a report from Miles. It did take some time in producing it. My next question to you, Miles, is now you've done the report, what are we expected to do with that? Have you a plan?
It's to hope, well, further down, I've done this in a small part just based on the parks in the village, and the idea is that when we do budget planning, when we see that some things are taking more repairs, what people's perceptions, which I think is the most important thing, that some parks appear to people to be more run down than others, so we should probably concentrate either replacing, well, I think the main thing out of this is to replace equipment instead of keeping on patching it and trying to fix it. That's one of the main things about this, because what people see, they see equipment which has got bits of concrete stuck in cracks or mismatched screws on equipment and things like that, and even though they serve a purpose, it doesn't look good to the public, and that's one of the main things to get from. So when we put the budget together, it's to help, not so much influence, but inform councillors that there are things that people perceive to be wrong, or what people want to get fixed in the village, so it can help people make decisions. That was the point of it.
And can I ask, sorry, just to reply to that, can I ask, if you're asking us to consider, I presume it's new equipment for the 3 parks we've got, do you have any substantial figures for us to discuss at the budget meeting?
When we talk about these in the budget meeting, I do have some for some parks for equipment, but again there's some which need larger consultations. So this was only a small one, because it was only a small group of people that helped me do this, which is why it was 50 people for each park, and again I've explained in the methods that these people were based around the park. So the idea is that they are more likely to use the park which is closest to them. So what I'm trying to think. So when we do the budget, the idea is that, oh yeah, we can see from this report that that one needs a bit more doing to it. We might decide this year we might want to do something for it. And the idea is to make a discussion in council from this report on that. So if they say, oh, can the park need more?
Just if I can clarify just before Christine, I think basically what Councillor Manship is saying is that we should be mindful of investing in the parks. Sorry, my voice is going. That we should probably be mindful of investing in the parks when it comes to budget planning.
Yes.
So that's basically what you're suggesting.
Yeah, but also to bear in mind, I have asked it further down. For, this is only a small consultation. Imagine what we could do with a bigger one. Yeah. Any more?
Right, you've all heard of the skate park group over the years. We're now at the stage where a company is interested in working with the community to provide better facilities for the whole field. We will be very unlikely if we get funding just for a skate park, but to do a community project involving the whole field, the bowling club, maybe the cricket club, but it's still in its infancy, and we need councillors especially to show some interest. A few councillors have expressed an interest in meeting with what's it called, Miles? Freescape. No, there's another one. Freestyle Skate Park Company, who are one company who, among many, who do the planning, the fundraising and the building. There must be pitfalls, which I'm sure will come to light, but at the moment I can't see any. So the skate park company want to come to Anston to meet with all interested parties to make this a community project. So I hope this is an opportunity for councillors to think it through. This is a real opportunity for funding and for help with the planning. And I think it's a shame if it just goes to the dogs, like so many other projects in Anston Parish Council. So this could tie in with that. Yeah. So please, will all councillors think it through, and any expressions of interest or any suggestions, please contact me.
Chair,
thank you.
Chair, can I propose that we receive the report as presented by Councillor Manship?
Does that proposal have a seconder? Steve. All those in favour? Okay, thank you very much. Bearing in mind the amount of material we've got to get through in the confidential session, I would like, if members don't have any objections,
Let me get 810 through.
Sorry?
I want to get 810 through. 810.
I think that it's going to take quite a lot of discussion.
Or at least 811, because we need to start on 811.
I think that might invoke even more discussion.
That would be thought.
Well, 811, the written certified got Christine's just
Can I propose, and I don't want to specifically irritate anyone by doing it, but can I propose that we resolve to adjourn the meeting in order to allow the public to raise any issues regarding today's meeting?
I'll second that. It's a proposal.
Yep, seconded by Leo. All those in favour? Okay. So we've resolved to adjourn the meeting. Members of the public, any issues that you want to raise regarding today's meeting? I'm sure there are plenty. Could somebody pass over a microphone?
Yes, you just
I have seen it.
So this section is time limited to 10 minutes. So 8:56.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that, the engagement is
no job to meet with different parts of the community.
We can't do anything right this week. We can't do anything until we start.
Well, I don't know about that now, so please.
Has somebody got time for a microphone?
Right.
I do hope now that the council will get together. Now, Miles has got this report. These people who are on for coming up, I've met them, they're very professional, you know, going for the big picture, not just the skate park, but the whole... This village has had nothing done. These children are crying out for somewhere to go to keep them out of mischief. They come in and asking, like, probably a community worker can come down once or twice a week, open this up. So the older children have got somewhere to go instead of standing outside the Premier or some other place. A lot of the good kids, and they just want somewhere to go. This village has got nothing. And I do hope with these discussions something will come out of it for this community, which is very lacking. The man who's going to come up and talk to you comes from a village down south, much small, half the size of this. They've got 5 football pitches. So let's hope something now can come out of this for our village.
Thank you. Wait, Kevin.
Yeah, I'd just like to put Clive right, no, I'm alright. I'd like to put Clive right as regards length of time you have to spend in this all after meetings, simply because the amount of things that you put in private session, it's got nothing to do with conduct of people sat here. It's all about how much this council actually puts in private session today. That's why we're staying here while 10 and half past 10. Meetings, like today, we finished the meeting early, it's close to, you probably still won't leave while close to 10. So, you
have a personal interest because he works with the council looking up.
Okay, thank you for raising that point, Kevin.
Yeah, is council aware that when they voted actually on that issue about extending time period, that you're going to have a look at the public is saying meetings for 3 months, you actually granted a seat, because you're not allowed to revisit it.
It is possible, that was a question rather than a statement, but actually it is possible for the council to revisit that decision. It requires councillors to sign a statement to that effect. It is possible for a council to revisit a decision made previously. Any other points?
Can I ask, are we going to be allowed 20 minutes, or are you going to cut us short like you did tonight? If you hear a question you don't like the sound of.
The chairman reserves the right to suspend the public session if it descends to chaos. I don't think it was specifically a question that I didn't like the sound of, because I'm not involved in the sort of arguments that have been going. If you do want to write to the council, feel free to, and we'll certainly put it on the next agenda. But if public session continues to descend into chaos, whether that's caused, however that's caused, I will end it early. Any other points? It is. It's a real shame. It is. It's a real shame. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Back.
This is the first time I've been for years, and this is an observation point, but to hear a member of the council, elected or co-opted, call a member of the public a disgrace, I just think that is a point that should be taken from, as a chair, you should be stopping a member of that council calling a member of the public a disgrace.
Okay. I didn't hear that particular statement, but if there's a complaint, we can certainly look back on the recording. If you could give us some indication of when in the meeting that happened, then the clerk and I will take that forward. But I would agree that's not appropriate.
Can I just say, Chair, I think the gentleman has a valid point, but it also works 2 ways. If councillors, and they should treat the members of the public with respect, the public should treat councillors with respect. We're elected officials here to represent them, and it's very difficult to represent the public when you're continually being bombarded and interrupted during meetings. Maybe the respect needs to be all round.
Okay. Thank you very much. Fire away.
I guess that's just a response from me, because it was me that Councillor Thornton called a disgrace. And
I didn't say it was a disgrace, I said you were disgraced from RNBC.
And I would just like to say, Chair, that I think I've behaved impeccably throughout this meeting. And in the past, when I've been chairing and certain councillors were members of the public, they behaved disgracefully. And you are now, sadly, experiencing the fallout from all of those years. Thank you.
So it's planned then.
Thank you very much. I wish we didn't have to. I wish those of us that have only been on the council for a few years didn't have to experience the fallout of the last few years, because there are those of us that it's irrelevant. Right, thank you very much. Can I propose that on the next item on the agenda that we resolve to exclude the press and public due to the confidential nature of the business to be transacted? Does that have a seconder? Clive, all those in favour? Thank you.